The Mughal Empire, one of the largest and most powerful empires in history. For centuries, they ruled over a land of unimaginable riches and diversity, a land we now call India. But empires, even the grandest, don't run on incense and good vibes. They run on something far more tangible, something that often leaves a bitter taste. Taxes. Join us now as we dig into the complex, often brutal world of Mughal taxation. Let's explore the 10 most notable Mughal taxes and why Emperor Akbar's policy on jizya became such a turning point. Let's start with the jizya, a tax that highlights the complexities of Mughal rule. Imagine you're a non-Muslim in 16th century India. The Mughals, with their Islamic faith, have conquered your lands. You're allowed to practice your faith, but at a price, the jizya. Young Emperor Akbar sees the tensions and abolishes the jizya. If the jizya was a lightning rod for religious tension, the kharaj was the steady, predictable rain that watered the fields of empire. This was the land tax, the bread and butter of Mughal revenue. Every farmer, every landowner knew the kharaj well. The kharaj was the price of Mughal peace, maintaining armies and stability. Now let's talk about zakat, the religious tax levied on Muslims within the empire. Unlike the jizya, which was abolished by Akbar, the zakat remained a cornerstone of Mughal rule. On the surface, the zakat seems like a noble concept. It's a form of almsgiving, a way for the wealthy to share their wealth with the less fortunate. But like most things in history, the zakat is more complicated than it first appears. By collecting and distributing zakat, the Mughal emperors positioned themselves as the protectors of Islam, reinforcing their authority in the eyes of their Muslim subjects. Chapter 4. Ushur, tilling the fields of faith. Now, let's delve into the world of Mughal agriculture with the ushur, a tax specifically levied on Muslim farmers. The ushur, typically set at 10% of the harvest, was their contribution to the Islamic State, a tangible expression of their faith. The revenue generated from the ushur went towards funding religious institutions and supporting the poor and needy. The ushur highlights the interconnectedness of religion, economics, and social responsibility in the Mughal world. Chapter 5. Fawaid, the price of prosperity. As the Mughal Empire grew, so too did its cities, bustling centers of trade and commerce. Caravans laden with silks, spices, and precious stones traversed the land, connecting India to the wider world. Enter the fawaid, a tax levied on merchants, both domestic and foreign. The fawaid was the price of doing business in the Mughal Empire, a toll booth on the road to prosperity. The taxes collected from merchants funded everything from lavish courtly displays to the construction of grand mosques and public works projects. The fawaid was the fuel that kept the Mughal engine humming, driving both economic growth and imperial ambition. Chapter 6. Garari, the taxman cometh for empty fields. The Mughal emperors understood that their power ultimately rested on the backs of farmers. Enter the Garari tax, a levy specifically targeting uncultivated land. The tax was designed to incentivize cultivation, to discourage landowners from hoarding land, and to push them towards putting it to productive use. By taxing uncultivated land, the Mughals not only generated revenue, but also increased agricultural output. It was a clever strategy, really. The Garari tax was a prime example of how the Mughals used taxation not just as a means of extraction, but also as a tool of economic policy. Chapter 7. Peshkash, the high price of loyalty. The Mughal Empire wasn't just about brute force and centralized control. It was also a complex web of alliances, treaties, and tributary states. Enter the Peshkash, a tribute paid by regional rulers and local chiefs to the Mughal emperor. The Peshkash wasn't just about money, it was about symbolism, about reinforcing the Mughal emperor's position at the apex of the power structure. For the Mughal emperors, the Peshkash was a steady stream of revenue and a way to project power without having to constantly resort to military force. Chapter 8. Sar-I-Karj, funding the Mughal war machine. Empires are built on the back of powerful armies, on the ability to project force and crush opposition. Enter the Sarai Kharch, a special tax levied to cover the costs of military campaigns. The Sarai Kharch was the people's contribution to the war effort, a way to ensure that the Mughal armies remained well-equipped and victorious. A strong military also meant a stable empire, and stability had its own benefits. The Sarai Kharch was the price of peace, the cost of keeping invaders at bay and maintaining order within the vast Mughal realm. It was a necessary evil perhaps, but an evil nonetheless. Chapter 9. Jakat, taxing hooves, horns, and everything in between. Now let's talk about a tax that might seem a bit unusual to modern ears. The Jakat, a levy specifically targeting livestock. In a largely agrarian society like Mughal India, animals were vital economic assets. The Jakat was the Mughals' way of tapping into this wealth, of ensuring that even the animals contributed to the imperial coffers. The revenue generated from this tax helped to fund the Mughal administrative apparatus. Even the animals, it seems, played their part in keeping the Mughal engine running. Chapter 10. Abwab, death by 1,000 cuts. The Mughal tax code was comprehensive, and there's one more category, the abwab. Abwab were miscellaneous cesses and duties levied on the populace. Each abwab might seem small, but their cumulative effect was substantial. They were often justified to cover local expenses like roads and bridges. The abwab represent the darker side of Mughal taxation, susceptible to abuse. In 1564, Akbar abolished jizya, signaling a policy of religious tolerance. Known for his inclusive policies, Akbar wanted to unify his diverse empire and gain loyalty from non-Muslim communities. Removing jizya built trust and reduced religious divides, creating a more stable and prosperous realm. However, in 1679, Emperor Aurangzeb reimposed jizya, aiming to reinforce Islamic orthodoxy. This decision, however, increased social tensions and is seen as a factor that gradually weakened the Mughal Empire's unity. Thank you for watching. To learn more about the fascinating history of India, subscribe and stay tuned.